So this is Louis, and we're entering the afternoon. It's now past noon. And I'm sitting here trying to enjoy my Arizona green tea. This was meant for tomorrow in the morning when I go to work, but I got laid off. So quite ironic considering I was just bragging about overtime on Twitter. But the reality is, like someone said in response to me, that it's amazing that they couldn't offer me less hours, that my choices were between, working 80 hours a week or being unemployed. And yeah, that's the nature of the job. They saw it fit out of nowhere, and I'm sure this was a corporate decision they made on Friday. They said, all right, we're fucking laying everyone off on Monday. And they laid me off and probably half dozen other people, maybe a little bit more than that in the state. The numbers weren't clearly made to me. But they've already locked me out of the system. They did that this morning, which irritated me because it's like I had someone ask me for information, and I was like, yeah, you can go find that out yourself because I'm locked out. I laughed at him. That was my boss's boss. She called me this morning, and she, after like a minute-long spiel, like she was reading off of a script, as soon as I answered the call and it was her, I was like, all right, I'm either getting laid off, fired, or this is some bullshit call about the coronavirus. And as it turns out, I was right in pretty much, you could say, all three regards, because the distinction between being laid off and fired is not too great. But also, it was about the coronavirus. She said, that's the excuse, you're gone, we're laying you off. And being that I'm walking away with either 4 or 6 weeks of severance, which it's up to HR what it is, and I'm going to push for 6, obviously, because they owe me vacation time, and that's not factored in to the severance, so I'm going to push for that when they call me, and I think I have a little bit of negotiating power there, because not everything's set in stone exactly yet, but she called me to say that I'm done, and I laughed. I laughed reasonably hard when she told me I was laid off. She really wasn't expecting that reaction. I imagine that she had some people, especially in the New York City area, who I'm definitely sure they got laid off. More so than up here in upstate New York. She was surprised by the way in which I took the being laid off, and it was a pleasant call. The unpleasant call was when I spoke to my supervising officer, my manager, because he trained me when I first got hired, and him and I have had a turbulent relationship in those 4 years. We have not gotten along for a decent chunk of it. We got along at certain points, but he dipped in and out of being manager, and he doesn't really like being manager, but he gets paid significantly more now because I'm sure now he demanded it, because the last guy they had doing his job was a fucking incompetent. And I told him that in our last conversation. We spoke earlier. I said that he replaced a guy, Joe, something like, not Joe, something, I forget the guy's name. Richard? I think that was it. I said to him, I'm glad you took that position over Richard because he was a fucking incompetent. And he didn't really react positively to me saying that, but I was like, yeah, I don't really care. It's true, he was a fucking incompetent, and what are you going to do, write me up or something? You're going to scold me? And so, yeah, that wasn't a pleasant conversation. He tried his best to be polite to me, but that kind of soured my mood. Because I had a good conversation with Carol, my boss's boss earlier, who laid me off officially. But the conversation I had with my manager was not pleasant. And I wish he wouldn't have called, because it really soured my mood after that. This is like the third take of this. The second take resulted in like a 15-minute rant about how much I fucking hate corrections officers in New York. And I'll give you the brief, calmer explanation of that, because I think I have some followers that are in law enforcement. So I'll put it like this. I've investigated some cops, a couple that were fraudulent. I've investigated some firefighters. I don't recall a single one outside of one guy ever that was fraudulent. I've investigated quite a few state employees, like road workers, like you name it. I've investigated it in the past 4 years. For those of you that don't know my job, I was an insurance investigator. I was a private investigator, but not independent. I worked for an agency, a very large one that works in every state in the country, that has a contract with every fucking government in the entire union. Very large company. Dog shit company. Hated it. Upper management that laid me off is the only factor that's reasonably competent. Every other factor is full of fucking 30-year just no-show jobs of incompetent dipshits that get paid to show up. I hated a decent portion of my company. I hated a decent portion of my job. But anyways, in regards to corrections officers, they were the number one demographic of people I investigated. I cannot begin to tell you how many fucking corrections officers that I have investigated in the past 4 years. It would blow your mind. It is the majority of the statistics of the cases. It is the largest share of demographic of who I've investigated. There is a ridiculous problem in this nation, and especially in fucking New York, with fraudulent insurance claims filed by corrections officers. They are worse than any other demographic of public worker. It is out of control. It is rampant. They are getting paid 6 figures a year to sit on their ass and be nakedly fraudulent. They are impervious. They are completely shielded from prosecution. I have not seen a single case of a corrections officer who was obscenely guilty of fraud that was ever pursued. Ever by the state. Never once. I've testified against officers that were never, ever pursued by the state. Just, hey, give us some of that money back, and that was the end of it. To any of you that follow me and are corrections officers, the few that there probably are, I'm not trying to malign you, but I am willing to say that many of your colleagues are fucking parasite hypocrites who I fucking hate. So many corrections officers are beta male, limp dick, wannabe jocks that claim to be fucking alpha, claim to be Republicans, claim to be libertarians and conservatives, but are fucking phony fucking incel parasites that are 50 years old, that live alone, that have no fucking life outside of their job, are depressed, and are weak. I fucking hate them. I'm not going to go as far as to say what I wish they would do to rid us of their presence in this world, but I cannot fucking stand them because they are unbelievably aggressive. I had one corrections officer in the last year threaten to pull me out of the car and beat me to death, and he said that he knew people on the police force, and I don't believe he was joking based on what I read on his social media, that he knew police, and that he said to me to my face that he was going to pull me out of the car, beat me to death, and that he would not be prosecuted for it because he has a union and the cops in the area behind him. I'm going to stop myself from going further because I just want to condemn the job and condemn the people employed, but I know that to not be rational. If I had the power, and if I were in the position like I was a state senator or state assemblyman, I would harshly go after fraud when it comes to corrections officers. I don't give a damn that your job is hard, and I know that the job is hard. I know, my best friend's father is a corrections officer, and he hasn't had an easy life because of it. It's a hard job. But that doesn't give you license to be a fucking degenerate, as so many of these fucking people are. It doesn't give you that excuse. And you can go on Facebook, you can go on social media, and I read through all your shit. I know it all. You can be the biggest fucking impotent hypocrite that you want to be, as so many of these people are. You're still a fucking parasite. You are still a fucking parasite. You're getting paid 6 figures to sit on your ass on a fraudulent claim. You are a fucking criminal. You belong in prison with those that you're sharing, your job with. You deserve to be behind bars, so many of you. I'll stop there because, this is 4 years of anger built up as it relates to it because so many got off scot-free. It was fucking insane. So yeah, I don't believe that corrections officers should have a union. If you gave me the power, I would not recognize their unions any longer because they are irredeemable, they are wholly corrupt, and they are preventing criminals from being prosecuted among their ranks in the same way that all the private sector unions are condemned. Anyone out there being like, oh, fuck the private unions, there's embezzlement and all, they're shielding themselves from prosecution and blah, 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 investigation. The fucking corrections officer unions are a million times worse. They are completely corrupt. They are working with their dirtbag fucking their union members, and they are shielding them from prosecution. They make deals with the state. They are impervious from prosecution. No matter how guilty they fucking are, no matter how much they've stolen from you and me, no matter how criminal they are, they stay out of fucking prison. It is wholly corrupt, and it is something that drives me even now, up until now, where, I mean, at this point, it shouldn't really worry me too much because it's no longer my problem, but I am a taxpayer. And so until such a time that it changes, it is something that I will have a problem with. And that is the rank hypocrisy of so many fucking corrections officers who present themselves as rugged, individualist, fucking Republican, alphas. And they are incels. They are at home in their own home with their Ford F-150, and they have nothing to do all fucking day. They have no wife. They have no kids. They have no girlfriend. They have nothing to do. They have no fucking life. Nothing to do with all their time but sit at home and be depressed and jerk off. They're fucking incels. Fuck them. And I'll leave it at that. That's your rant when it comes to fucking corrections officers and their bullshit. Anyways, I had my boss's boss call me. She gave me the spiel. She gave me pretty much what was happening and all that and the reasoning, and it wasn't that bad of a conversation. I was cheerful through most of it because, like I said on Twitter, this is more of a relief than it is anything else, because I hated this job. I hated the schedule. I hated the hours. I hated the job itself. I got tired of lying to people. I got tired of risking my fucking life for pay that never increased. It's, by the way, that's one of the aspects of the job that I was unable to talk about because of an NDA. But now, at this point, who gives a fucking shit? They lied over and over again about what company policy was. It shifted like the fucking wind. When I first got the job, they guaranteed me a 5% raise year over year on my pay. And it was not, the starting pay. It was what I was receiving at that moment. So a 5% increase on that dollar amount. The saddest part of my job, in my view, is that in 4 years of doing it, I received more money through the raise in the minimum wage in New York, through that mechanism, than through the company actually, meeting their promise in giving me a higher raise every year, more money every year. They lied about that every year. Every single year, the most I got was a dime more an hour. It was the saddest part of my fucking job. The most I ever got in a single year was a dime more an hour. The most. It may have been 9 or 10 cents. I can't even remember. That was the most. The biggest raise I ever got in 4 years of fucking of just unbelievable work. The reason I mentioned minimum wage is because with my job, what I couldn't tell you is that I have 2 rates of pay. Case rate, admin rate. Case rate is when you're on the job, you're doing the job. Admin rate is everything else. You're doing a report, you're driving, you're reading emails. So anything that isn't you on the case, you get paid admin time. The genius is that you can double dip, where you can read about the case you're working or about to work while you're on the job. You show up, you read about the case. And I did that all the time in the past 4 years. Fuck you. I did that the whole time, practically. I'd show up and I'd be like, all right, what's this case about? They wanted me to spend my fucking morning reading that bullshit. No, I did it when I was on the fucking job, which is when I'm on the clock, on the case, on scene. That's in reading about your bullshit. I did that all the time for 4 years. And, yep, they can get fucked. And I charged 30 minutes worth every single time. Every single time I did it. I charged 30 minutes. And yeah, was it minimum wage? Sure, but that's still money they paid for nothing. Ha ha. Joke's on you. And that's not the only thing. I didn't charge as much as I could because eventually they cracked down on it. They started realizing that people were bullshitting their payroll so badly. And it wasn't me. There was a ton of other people that were getting fucking crazy with the amount of shit they were bullshitting and charging. The problem is that when you don't give people raises like you promised them, especially this year, they froze raises. They completely froze raises before the coronavirus, before all this happened. They froze pay raises completely. And it's like, how do you think that incentivizes people to act? The incentivization structure of the company was abysmal. It's the worst ever. I have not worked for another company where the incentive process was as bad as this company. They demanded A-plus performance, 110% effort every single day of the year. Every single day they expected the best of you. In the past 4 years, they would get so unbelievably upset and angry and bitter whenever you called off. I have had maybe 3, 4, maybe tops sick days in the last 4 years. Okay? 4 tops sick days in 4 fucking years. But was it good enough for these bitter, number-crunching, bureaucratic niggers? Nope. Not good enough. I'm still the bottom of the totem pole. I'm still the asshole. I'm still the guy getting laid off. Or the idea, like, I hate to let you go. Like, none of that. None of that. Just, hey, we're letting you go. Hey, it's Monday. Hey, we already made this decision. You're gone. Bye. 4 years of sacrifice for this. You know? And this is kind of what I mean by, well, I did a video a while ago called I'm Not Cut Out for the Corporate World. And this is what I'm fucking talking about. Like, I spent 4 years of my fucking life sacrificing for this shitty company. And they could not have taken it more for granted. They could not have viewed me as any more than a fucking number on a spreadsheet. And it's why I hate the corporate environment. I hate it. I can't stand it. Because they demand more of you than any person ever in life. Like, they demanded more of me than a spouse would have. And yet, they gave me nothing in return. Nothing in return. They gave me a paycheck. Well, congratulations. I worked like a fucking farmyard animal for you for 4 fucking years. The least I was due was the money I was owed. I can't say that I'm gonna be that upset about losing this job. I'm really not. It was just a source of stress, of paranoia, of poor health. But I've lost a lot of muscle mass. I have lost stamina. Like, I was drinking for a while, and then I stopped drinking. I stopped smoking, started smoking. I'm smoking again. My sleep schedule has been the worst it's ever been in my life. This job has not helped me health-wise. So losing this job is not that big a deal. What I really need to do is start exercising every day the way that I used to, start sleeping like I used to, and it will probably substantially change my attitude, change my health. It will change my life for the better. And once I am no longer in a moment of crisis, maybe, hey, for the first time in so long, maybe I can start dating again. Oh, I mean, that won't be fun. That'll be a chore, probably. But, hey, it'll be nice. It'll be a nice change from what was the monotony of my fucking life of endless work. But, yeah, I can't say that I'm really sorry to go. I hated the job. It didn't really bring me much fulfillment outside of being employed and working a lot and being able to brag about that fact. But, one of the things I could tell you as an anecdote is most people, when I would tell them what I did for a living, they said, ooh, that's interesting. And I'd start telling them about it. And I can't begin to tell you how many times this happened to me. Hey, what do you do? I'm a private investigator. Oh, really? Tell me about it. And I start telling them about it. And I'd be like 5 minutes into telling them about it, and they go from a smile to a frown where they didn't want to hear anymore. They didn't want to hear me talk about it anymore. I can't begin to tell you how many times that has happened to me in the past 4 years. How many people have gone from, "Ooh, that's interesting, tell me about it," to, "Wow, that's awful. Stop telling me about it. Let's change the topic." I can't begin to tell you how many people have done that to me. And that's because the way that I talk about it, it makes me sound utterly fucking miserable. And I have this dangerous, shitty job that no one in their right mind would ever want. So they'd be like, "Okay, I think I've had enough of this. I heard enough about your job." Oh, man. I'm glad to be done with it, really. I've had about enough of it. It consumed my fucking life, man. It really did. If I'm being honest, I have two minds about it. I'm of two minds about it, Jesus Christ. I feel like I've thrown 4 years of my life away with this job, but at the same time, it's done with. And all the stress, all the bullshit, all the nonsense, all the lies, all the things I've had to endure, it's now over. It's now done. I'm done. I'm not going back. They asked me back. I'm going to be like, "Yo, do I still keep getting unemployment insurance or unemployment if I say no?" Like, I'm not fucking going back. I'm in process of looking for work. I'm in the process of like the federal government scrutinizing me for a federal job. Like, I've passed a bunch of hurdles already, so I'm already in the process of getting different work. I was also on the cusp of being fired. I had my manager call me and be like, "Yo, we need to do some training or whatever, yada, yada, yada. You need to go through this hoop because of disciplinary reasons." And I was like, "Nah, I'm not doing it." And that might be the thing. That might be the thing that finally switched their opinion of me, where I had my manager call me and be like, "Yo, you need to come do this." And I was like, "Nah, I'm not doing that." I think they finally realized, like, "Oh shit, this guy's wised up. He's woke. Like, he's not going to just follow through and bend the knee and bow down and do everything we want him to." Because there's nothing they can do. There's nothing they can do to make me do whatever the fuck they want to. So he was like, "We need to do this training thing. We need to do this disciplinary thing." And we've done it several times in the past. And I was like, "Nah, I'm not doing it. You can say whatever you want to. Say whatever you want to Carol, who's the person in charge of, his boss. You can say whatever, but I'm not doing it. Like, we've been through this before. I haven't done anything really wrong. You're getting mad at me for some incredibly small issue, some detail problem. I've already said I'd fixed it, and I have. If you find some minor problem to scrutinize me about this, like, that's fine. You can send me the email, and I'll correct it. And, like, I'll try not to do it in the future. But I'm not going through all the rigmarole of this bullshit for a minor mistake, which is every write-up I've ever had. I've been written up several times in the course of having the job. It's always been for something fucking unbelievably insignificant. A detail which you wouldn't even believe me. One was for missing a case. One case. Because of someone else's fuck up. And I think I've talked about that in the past. Someone else fucked up. I missed a case. And they were giving me shit. And I was like, "Nah." And so I got written up for saying, "Nah. You can't say no to us." Well, I did. "What are you going to do?" "Oh, we're going to write you up and discipline you." Okay. Like, that was the one. The other three, you won't even believe me. Mistakes in my report. Over the past 4 years, I have been lauded over and over again. I've had just about every single, even the asshole case managers who I couldn't stand. I've had every single case manager that I've worked with who works between the client, the insurance companies, and us. They're the go-between. Every single one has complimented me on my reports. I've heard back from the insurance companies, compliments, the adjusters, compliments of my report writing skills. I was better than most of the other investigators at my company at writing reports. I was more detailed. I was better spoken in terms of the writing ability. I was more coherent in my writing ability and all that. better than most other investigators and consistent in that. Why? Because I have a degree in communications. I know how to write. I have a decent ability to speak. I know what I'm doing. I have for a long time. I'm a better writer than I am even a speaker. So I know how to write. I received compliments over and over again, routinely, about my report writing skills. The last 3 write-ups, outside of telling the one manager, nah, those 3 write-ups have been because of mistakes in reports. So, unbelievably insignificant errors. Like, instead of the investigator, because it depends on a client, I wrote investigator Le Vau, using the pseudonym, of course. Instead of using one phrase, I used the other. So I made a mistake. Rather than say, hey, you messed this up, you need to fix this, don't do it again, which it happens, they wrote me up over it 3 times in the past 4 years. Those have been the write-ups. I've had maybe 5 write-ups in 4 years. 3 of those have been for unbelievably insignificant mistakes in report writing, when that has been one of my strongest skills throughout working at this company. And that, to me, like, maybe you don't understand that, but it's like the frustration that comes from a company where it is like the memo thing on the TPS report.
Did you see the memo about this?
Yeah, I have the memo right here. I just forgot, but it's not shipping out till tomorrow, so there's no problem.
Yeah. If you could just go ahead and make sure you do that from now on, that would be great. And I'll go ahead and make sure you get another copy of that memo. Okay?
I made a small mistake. I can tell you that it's, I mean, I say it's not going to happen again. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I'm going to make a small, insignificant mistake when I'm working 3 cases in 1 fucking day. It's going to happen. But is that acceptable to them? Making a small mistake which could take me 10 minutes, if even that, to correct? If I'm going through the report and just changing certain things? No, it's come down on me like a ton of bricks. 2 phone calls from 3 different, 3 phone calls from 3 different people. The case manager complaining. My boss complaining. And approvals complaining. Like, everyone's complaining to me about an unbelievably insignificant mistake. And because it's such a big fucking deal, I got to get written up over it. When this is one of my strongest skills. But the fact is that if you're working 70 hours a week for 4 fucking years, and you've worked thousands of fucking cases, you're gonna make a mistake or 2. But they came down on you like a ton of fucking bricks for it. Anyways, I'm glad to have that stress out of my life. I really am. Because I've been miserable for about the last year. Maybe longer, for those of you listening. I've had enough of it. I'm glad to be done. My only fucking regret is that I didn't get laid off when it was fucking warmer out, because then I'd be outside having the time of my life. I'd be outside, I don't know, whatever, like cleaning out my shed, cleaning out my fucking garage, having, some new pavement put on my fucking driveway, raking my yard, mowing my lawn, doing something, planting a tree, like chopping down some of the dead trees that are not in my backyard, but in the backyard behind mine. Like, I gotta chop down some of those because the person themselves isn't taking care of it, and I don't want them falling on my house and shit. So I could be chopping down some of those with my father's chainsaw. Like, there's plenty of things I could be fucking doing if the weather was nicer. That's my only regret, is not getting laid off, like, at the first week of June, bro. That would be, oh my fucking God. I'd be in an unbelievably good mood if that were the case. But unfortunately, it's the beginning of fucking April, so it's not quite nice out yet. Not terrible out at the moment, but it's like fucking 40 degrees out. Like, fuck that. Sunny and 40 degrees, whoop-de-fucking-do. It might as well be raining. What's the difference, really? But when it's sunny and warm, then I'm in good mood. And I'd be having the time of my fucking... Well, oh my God, dude. Even last year, my parents... for some reason, they had like an extra grill. I don't even know where they got it from, but they wound up with like an extra grill. So they're like, yo, here's a grill. And I'm like, yeah, I'll take an extra grill. I don't have a grill. So, bro, I'd be out there, like, I call my parents, like, yo, let's have like hot dogs for lunch at my house. I'm gonna grill some hot dogs out. Like, I'd be out there like total boomer mode, cutting my lawn with my fucking Arizona green tea and fucking grilling some hot dogs for lunch to, give my parents some lunch. It'd be fucking great. But unfortunately, it's April. So, I wish it were June. I wish I'd also be turning 30 at the end of the month, which would be a downside. But I would be in an unbelievably jubilant mood if it were June. I would be in a very good mood. But instead, I'm kind of in a mixed mood because it's like, now I'm stuck here. There's nothing to do. Can't go to the movies with a buddy of mine. Like, I can't do anything. I can't even get my fucking car washed. Like, and if it were nice that I could just wash my own fucking car. But it's like, it's too cold. It's windy. Like, it's sunny out, but the wind is like cold as fuck. It's just not, the weather's not there yet. And I can't do anything. My backyard's a fucking swamp. It sucks. But, thankfully, it's not the winter. If it was the winter, dude, I'd be ready to fucking shoot myself. But it's getting warmer. It's getting nicer outside. I got my Trump bucks coming in, so I'm not too worried. I'm going to start canceling some shit. I'm going to be, like, calling up Sirius XM, being like, yo, fuck you niggers and your fucking unbelievably overpriced fucking satellite radio. I really like satellite radio. I like Sirius XM. Yo, $300 a year or whatever the fuck it is, that is way too much. Way too much. So fuck you, Sirius XM. I'm done with you. I'm going to be calling Verizon and being like, fuck you, niggers too. Get rid of my data. Get rid of my hotspot. Get rid of all this shit I use for my job. I'm paying like $30 a month. Fuck you guys. And you're overcharging bullshit. That's going to be nice for me to do as well. So I'll be cutting down on my costs. But, man, there's so many unneeded expenses in my life that I'm fine to be rid of. I'm fine to be fucking rid of. I don't really know how many of you have Sirius XM, how many of you have satellite radio. But, bro, I like it, but it's not worth the fucking price. It is a total fucking ripoff. It is unbelievably high priced, in my view. $300 a year is not a fucking deal for satellite radio. Like, I understand they got a lot of shit to pay for because fucking Howard Stern needs his $9 million or $10 million a year to do fuck all, suck off celebrities on his show or whatever the fuck he's doing nowadays. But, like, give me a package rate, okay? Give me all the different radio stations that I listen to and none of the sports shit, none of the bullshit politics channels that suck ass, none of the, like, Howard Stern comedy channels and all that. Give me just the music channels, and I'll pay for that, like, $20 a year. But all this other shit, no way. Get rid of all that garbage. Cut down on your fucking bloat, and then we'll talk. With the Trump bucks coming in, I'm not too worried. I've already been told it's $600 on top of what mine's going to be is like $500 something, I think, a week, because it's half your, is it half weekly, or I get paid bi-weekly, or did. I'll tell you what, the people at my workplace, they better not cheat me out of my last paycheck. That's going to be one thing I'm going to be talking to HR about. Like, you better give me my fucking paycheck. I had 40 hours due to me in this past week. You better fucking pay me every fucking penny that I am fucking owed of that, or I'm going to court or something. Like, I don't even give a shit. I'll use some of those Trump bucks to hire a fucking attorney and sue the shit out of you. I'm going to be very stern. That's something I should have talked about with my boss's boss. But when HR calls me, I'm going to be very stern about that. Because I'm not dealing with this fucking, it got lost in the mail, we don't know what's going on, blah, blah, blah bullshit. You better pay me what I'm fucking owed. My last job, they tried to do that to me. And I showed up. And I said, yo, I don't give a fuck what the problem is. And I didn't phrase it this strongly, but I more or less did. Like, I was very serious. I said, I left here. I got a new job. I went from one branch of the company to another. You better be paying me everything that I'm owed because it's coming from the same fucking place. There's no reason that I shouldn't be already paid what I'm owed here. And I got the him and hawing, oh, it must be some kind of mistake, some kind of clerical error, blah, blah, blah. And I said, I don't give a shit what it is. You better pay me. And back in that day when I was more politically connected than I am now, bro, I threw my weight around. I said, do you know so-and-so? Yes, he's the assemblyman or whoever it was. I'm not going to say exactly. Yeah, I know who they are. Well, I'm going to be calling them. And I'm going to be calling their friend who's a fucking judge. And I'm going to be talking to the prosecutor who's my best friend's fucking, like, cousin. I'm going to be calling them if you don't give me this paycheck by Friday. And guess what happened? You could say whatever you want to. Oh, Louis, you know, blah, all this shit. I got paid by that Friday. So I don't give a fuck about anything in the world. I don't care about what kind of favors I got to call, who I got to threaten. You fucking niggers better pay me what you fucking owe me. Because I'm entitled to what is mine, to what I have worked for. Every fucking cent of it.
There have been a lot of lies said around this dinner table here tonight, but that you can't believe.
When HR calls me later, whatever that is, I'm going to be very serious about that. Because I think they're going to fuck around with it. No, we're laying all kinds of people off. There's all kinds of turmoil, whatever. No. If everything's so fucking slow, if you got nothing going on, you're laying me off, then you have the fucking time to call down to Raleigh, to call down to Florida, wherever you're fucking paying me from, wherever the offshoot fucking financial office is. You call down there, you get me my fucking money. You get it to me by fucking Friday. And that's what I am going to say that. Because I did it before, and I got my money by saying that. So I don't give a shit. I got all the time in the fucking world now to shop around for a fucking attorney. You pay me what you fucking owe me. Or I'm going to find fucking Johnny Cochran. I'm going to dig him up. And I'm coming for you. I know how that sounds, and I'm not kidding. I want my fucking money. I want that last paycheck and I'm going to count the hours. I'm going to demand that they show me the hours, whatever they are. You give me a fucking pay stub. That's one thing. Again, I'm going to, hold on. Let me write that shit down right now. Because they've, all this paperless shit. I hate this. Oh, we're all going paperless. That's how they fucking get you. Because I can't access my pay stub now. They've locked me out of the fucking, all the websites. They've locked me out of all of it. So how can I validate what I've been paid? In any case, I will leave it there for the time being. And I will try to enjoy the rest of my day. And I'll try to do another video today, but I got people calling me now. Like, we need to talk and all this shit. So I'll leave you there. Thanks for listening.